ain't stirring no trouble, ain't looking for a fight. Just a kettle on the burner and a story for the night. Pull up a chair, pour a cup, lean in close and see that we ain't got the sugar, but we got the tea. Hot tea, no sugar, that's how we do. Sipping on the truth, no need to chew. We don't want the beef, just a spilling spree. Hot tea, no sugar, come sit with me. So settle in, y'all, it's time to brew. Hot tea, no sugar, coming right to you.
Welcome back to Hot Tea No Sugar. Today we're pouring up something really, really real. Sometimes the battles people fight aren't the ones that you see. Sometimes it's not the outside world that almost takes you out, it's your own mind. Depression doesn't always look like rock bottom. Sometimes it looks like showing up, smiling, playing a part. And anxiety always doesn't look like panic. Sometimes it looks like complete silence. Now imagine carrying all that weight and then waking up one day to find your name tied to some serious charges that you were falsely accused of. Imagine fighting for your own mental health while also fighting the justice system. Tonight's guest knows what it feels like to have headlines louder than his truth, and he knows what it feels like to question himself, to lose people, to sit in fear, to feel judged before he ever spoke. But he also knows survival, resilience, and he knows what it means to come back from something that could have buried him. This isn't about gossip, this isn't about clicks, this is about a human being. This is about depression, anxiety, accusation, and redemption. And what happens when the world thinks they know your story, but they don't. This is Hot Tea No Sugar. All right, today we are joined by Isaiah Keez. What's up, man?
What's up, what's up?
What's up?
How we doing?
Good, man, good.
Excellent.
So, who is Isaiah Keez? Like, what do you do? Where are you from?
That's a pretty layered question, you know, in the sense of, start from where I'm from. Born and raised, well, I can't really say all the way raised, but born in Hollywood, Florida. You know, my family, you know, my dad's side's from down there, my mom's side's from Georgia. But, you know, growing up through grade school and everything like that until I graduated, you know, I moved around a lot. So I went to 16 schools before I graduated high school. So it's kind of hard to say, like, you know, where I'm from because it's a lot of places, you know. And I don't want to make nobody mad, you know, that I know in one spot, you know what I mean, the other and everything like that. But who I am personally, husband, father first. You know, I believe in God, I'm a Christian, man of faith, and artist, videographer, friend, whatever people need. Okay. You know, that's who I am.
So running it back to your earlier life, like, did you play sports? Were you involved in that stuff? I know you're like tall as, how tall are you?
About 6'4", 6'5", depending on what shoes I'm wearing. For sure. No, but play sports. Ended up graduating from Martinsburg High School, West Virginia. Ended up at West Lib playing football my freshman year, but I ended up transferring to Marshall.
Oh, okay. I didn't know you played at West Lib.
Yeah. That's kind of how I got to know the area, my wife, and met her at college and everything like that. So, after I left school and everything and played a little bit of football and arena ball, and then we got together after being friends for a very long time. And then she moved to Martinsburg, then we moved back here.
Oh, that's awesome.
But the crazy fact, Wheeling area is the longest I've ever lived in one place in my entire life.
Really? You think you're tied here? Like,
I
you're
think
not
so.
leaving?
I never say never, because I don't, you know, I never put limitations in myself or God. But like, this is where I'm anchoring in. You know, my daughter's born and raised here. You know what I'm saying? I have a lot of ties that, you know, I've made both in the community, friendships, things like that. Professionally, both of our careers are here. So, you know, I have no plans on moving or leaving. And while I'm here, you know, however long that is, you know, plan on building while I'm here too. Okay. So.
And I know you are a huge, especially in this community, a huge advocate for men's mental health. Just to touch on that, what age were you when you think you realized that you were fighting some mental health and you wanted to talk about it? You didn't want to hide it like the rest of men do.
Yeah. In terms of, for me, I think mental health, as I understand it now, men's mental, you know, not just men's, but anybody's. I think that's a lifelong process, right? Like, even before we're aware of it. So, like, we all deal with our emotions and sometimes struggle more or less with our emotions, especially when you're younger. Your brain's not fully developed.
You think you were a young boy when you were like?
I'm not gonna lie, I was a very happy kid, man. My parents were real big on explaining everything to us as it was happening. So like, it was never like I didn't understand, like, what was going on.
You were
and I was
aware.
raised around love, like a real tight knit family. You know what I'm saying? Everybody really loving on each other and loving on each other hard. You know what I'm saying? So like, I didn't grow up with a lot of emotional struggles, but my oldest brother did. He kind of grew up in a different lifestyle. When I was born, my mother and my father were already raised in Christians, living a whole different lifestyle. My older brother, he was still, he was born, before they got their lives together. So he's seen a little bit more and dealt with a little bit more. And he was in the streets since a very young age. So just dealing with the trauma and stuff that comes with that, you know what I'm saying? But
okay. Sometimes I wonder almost that if like when kids who are aware of their mental health, if almost like it affects them more because they know what's happening.
For sure.
Like a lot of people don't like, they just go through life thinking that they're like this. And then once they realize what depression is, they're like, oh my gosh, I'm depressed. And it just seems so much worse than it was before.
I think what it is, we're creatures, we have a conscience, right? So like, we learn from learned behavior, right? Like we don't have like everything downloaded in our brain, all the information of how to survive when we're born, like animals per se.
Yeah.
We learn from seeing, right? Our environments teach us growing up. And so I think that the people you see that have a lot of issues with dealing with their emotions is because they never had to deal with their emotions, right? Their parents may not have like taught them how to deal with their emotions. They never made them aware of their emotions and what to expect, because a lot of the times when you see people that are dealing with, struggling with anxiety and depression, it's emotions that they weren't prepared for.
Yeah.
Right? So it's catching them off guard. And so anytime that you have that, it's just a lack of preparation. And so that's why I say for me, I was more of a happy kid because my parents explained everything. They explained the pros and cons and helped me to understand, what I'm gonna be dealing with, especially as a black man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
In America and what we experience. So I think it's a preparation thing. It depends on how you water a child. You know what I'm saying? If you nurture that child, you teach them, they'll do well. If you leave them to themselves, they're gonna struggle.
Yeah. So you weren't raised to hide your emotions?
I wouldn't necessarily say that much. My parents did I'll rave about them, but they weren't perfect. No parent is perfect, and they only know what they know.
Yeah.
So like, I feel, each generation learns a little bit more and passes what they know, and that one goes further and they learn more, and so I think it was a thing that they didn't have all the answers. But I think that the process of making me like work through these thoughts and what's going on, even if they didn't directly help me, I think it laid a foundation in me as I got older. Even when I fell off the wagon, I had a foundation to come back to.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So I think it was heavily dependent on for myself.
Yeah.
Dependent on that.
Okay.
But not every child gets that.
Yeah. So what does, as an adult, now that you are like fully 100% in tune, like, 'cause you're not one of those men that's not in tune with yourself. You're pretty thoroughly know who you are.
For sure.
So what does depression look like for you?
I think depression is a state of mind where a person is just weighed down by emotions that have stacked up, and they're not processing them in an orderly fashion to where they become overwhelmed with them, and they kind of want to shut off. And it's a constant state of build up, too much, shut off, and they can't gather and control those thoughts from getting out of hand too much. Everybody's gonna have negative emotions. We all do. I don't care how well together your mental health is or vice versa. We all have those, different emotions that we go through, but people deal with them differently.
Yeah.
So I think those people that are, in the state of depression is because they struggle with, balancing and processing those consistent thoughts that are, running through their mind on a consistent basis, and it weighs them down.
Yeah.
Which just deteriorates that person of who they are and their identity and self-identity. It wears away at how they view themselves.
Okay.
And so that also, in turn affects everything, their lives, the people around them, their careers,
Yeah.
whatever it may be. So
Yeah, I like that description. Yeah, that's a real description of depression right there.
yeah.
How has depression affected your relationships in life?
For me, I think it's one of those things where I learned a lot about myself, going through my own bouts in it. In my darkest moments, I wasn't in a relationship at the time. It was before I was with my wife. But also, her own, journey with dealing with that anxiety, depression, and things of that nature, seeing it from the outside, viewing in perspective. And then I think it's made it to where I have a passion. Like I like the people I care about, they know. Like if they need something, if I got it, if I have the capacity to fill that need, they don't even gotta ask a lot of times.
So you think in some ways it affected your relationships in a positive way?
100%.
You know how to show up for people.
I can relate. I can relate. I think it's different. It's a different approach that you have when you're addressing something like this or trying to positively impact something like this, whether it's in a person or a community or whatever it may be. That relatability helps you to understand the person you're approaching or you're trying to help. I feel like if you don't relate, sometimes you don't speak the same language. Like if you put somebody from Germany in here that only spoke German, and we all had to sit here and have a conversation together, it would be very hard to, because we don't speak the same language. We don't come from the same environment. So how could we have a discussion that's at all effective? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
having that personal experience, not only has it been a motivating thing, but it's also an understanding thing. So like, I understand where they're coming from. I understand, even though I'm trying to help them, they might not want it. And I can't take that rejection at first personally, because it's fear. Like they're afraid of getting help. They're not used to getting help. It's not that people don't not want help.
Yeah.
It's that they just aren't prepared.
Yeah.
For help or asking for help or accepting help.
Yeah.
So you have to, when you're approaching people in that state, you can't take stuff like that personal.
Yeah.
Like, it being funny. Oh, you don't want my help? All right, then forget it. Like you can't absorb it that way.
Yeah.
And so I think that's the way that it's affected my relationships.
Yeah.
The most personally and as a whole, like community wise.
So besides people thinking those things, like what do you think is another huge misconception that people have about depression?
I think that some people that haven't gone through that or experienced it, again, relatability factor, they think it's not a big deal. Oh, just snap out of it. It's mind over matter, things of that nature. Sometimes there's an actual literal chemical imbalance in people's brains. Sometimes it's parts of their brain, which I'm learning about now in my new career. There's parts of your brain that are responsible for those things, and a lot of people that have depression in this part of the brain, it's not firing off. There's no signals firing off in that area, so their response to it is not like a person who isn't experienced that,
They're not laying on the couch and crying.
Right. So it's not just easier. It's easier said than done. If you're not somebody that's gone through that or going through that. And even, there's people who have gone through it, survived it, and now they have this ego about it. Like, oh, I made it through it. You can't, there's no excuse, right?
Yeah.
Like, you had
we
your
all
own
got
journey.
a sad story. I hate that.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of ways that people can view what it's like to go through that. That could be way off. And my hope is in doing these types of things and having these conversations is changing the narrative around it. Like it's okay, I might not understand it, right? But it's legit. And if people understood the stats behind it, they wouldn't brush it off like it's just some little thing, or have that animosity towards people's failure.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, man.
There's a reason why it's happening.
Yeah. What do you think men, just to touch on this, what do you think a lot of men are raised thinking about showing emotion and depression and anxiety?
I think, you have to talk about generation wise, but, our generation, older, things of that nature. For the most part, it's still kind of been consistent. But boys don't cry, suck it up. Showing emotion is weakness. Those types of things. It's something that, like, again, learned behavior.
Yeah.
We're not like animals where we instinctually know what the truth is or what we're here to do, how to operate. We're taught. So if you're having as a kid, your brain's developing, and that's what's being reinforced over and over again. Now you're sitting here trying to shut it off, and if you fail at shutting it off, guess what? Now you're in a position of drowning, right? Because you don't know how to swim in the emotion.
Yeah.
Nobody taught you how to swim in the emotion, right? And so you let it build up because you don't deal with it. Then when it's too heavy and it flows over and you're drowning in it, you don't know how to save yourself.
Yeah.
And then the crazy part is most of us are too ashamed because of how we're raised to yell out for a life vest or somebody to come get us.
Yeah. It's hard for a man to go see a therapist, man.
It is.
It's crazy how much they deny that they're having a problem.
Because again, it's deemed, there's so many negative stereotypes out there, especially on social media, things like that, and a lot of guys, they don't even know how to.
Yeah.
Again, like some want to.
That's true.
But they don't know how to. And I will say this, I hope when people that see these conversations happening, like you're not going to be able to save every man in the world. But don't forget to check on the men in your world, right? Like, it's very easy for us. That's why I call it a silent epidemic, right? And because we're just walking around going over. Nobody really is checking. Like, if you ask yourself, like I had to ask myself, and I was even like, dang, I'm a man, and I haven't even checked on and asked any of of my men in my life that I know. Like, yo, you good? Everything going on? Anything you want to talk about? Now, I'm probably more aware than the average person because I just naturally have those conversations with people in general.
Yeah.
But the average person, if you thought to yourself and asked yourself, like, when's the last time you really checked on a man or a male in your life?
Yeah.
To see what they're, like, just for no reason. And so having these kind of, like, being more aware, because a better man, like a true better man, not all this fictitious stuff that you see in this ego-driven stuff, he-man, woman-hater clubs that you're seeing online. A real man is better for women, better for children, right?
Yeah.
Like, women aren't our enemy, right? Our kids, like, they need us, right? So, like it's not a thing of dominating them, right? It's us dominating ourselves to where we set the tone.
Yeah, man.
Set the tone and they'll follow, right? And so you have better men leading better families. Yeah, better families, you start creating better communities.
Yeah.
You have better communities, that's how we change the narrative. Now, in my opinion, not with votes, not with, even, clout, and not this. It's got to start from the ground base.
Yeah.
And what we can actually affect.
Facts, man.
You know what I mean? Like, control the controllables.
Yeah.
And we hope and we do what we can. We vote for things we can affect, right? But we got to focus more on what we can.
Yeah.
And there's people right here in our lives that we can help.
That's powerful right there, man. And now for our sponsors. This is brought to you by Triangle Property Services, the Ohio Valley's premium deck construction company. If you're thinking about upgrading your outdoor space, these are the people you call. Their dedication to quality shows in every single detail, from structure and design to the craftsmanship that guarantees durability and a long-term satisfaction. Whether you're dreaming of the perfect summer hangout spot or adding value to your home, they build it right the first time. Contact Triangle Property Services today for your free consult. Pacifico Heating and Cooling, keeping the Ohio Valley comfortable all year long. Whether it's freezing outside or the summer heat is hitting hard, Pacifico makes sure your home stays exactly how you like it. From new installations to repairs and routine maintenance, their team delivers fast, reliable service you can count on. Honest work, fair pricing, and a quality you can feel. That's Pacifico. Don't wait until your system quits on you. Call now. Looking for the best deals in town? Once Upon a Child buys and sells gently used kids' items. Bring in apparel, toys, shoes, and baby equipment and get paid cash on the spot. No waiting and no appointments. Walk in with items your kids no longer use and walk out with cold hard cash. Did your kids just hit a growth spurt? No worries. Shop top name brand clothing, toys, and gear for up to 70% off regular retail prices. That's Once Upon a Child, family owned and operated. Over 15 years ago, at just 21 years old, Isaiah was arrested in a serious crime that he was completely innocent of. We're going to touch a little bit on that. So, how did you find out? How did you find out that, what did you just wake up and you had a warrant? Did they come get you at your work?
Yeah, no, I was in college, so situation happened. We went back to Martinsburg, and I had a friend of mine, a teammate, called me and said that they were on campus, like talked to coaches, the police, looking for me or whatever. So I was about to go meet up with one of my friends. He's gonna take me back to school at the time where it's a ways away, but we were about to hit the road, and I was gonna walk over to his house because he lived nearby. And long story short, U.S. Marshals hopped out, guns blazing, whole 9 yards, and because of the severity of the charges, it was appropriate for on their part. So I ain't mad at that, but U.S. Marshals came and got me. And the thing about the U.S. Marshals, they don't really tell you any information, like the charges and specifics. They just come get you, and then they take you to precinct or wherever you're going, and then they tell you your charges and all that stuff there. So I had no idea what was going on until I got there. But,
you just respectably went with them and was I didn't do nothing.
It was more confusing feeling, like obviously, because you go from mine, you just about to go to campus, see what's going on, talk to whatever, and you got guns drawn at you, one in your back, one at your head, you know what I mean? I had at the time, I had a blunt in my pocket.
Okay.
So
you were 21. Yeah, you were having a good time.
I'm about to go. I don't know what's going on. So I'm, so we got a little trip. Gotta have some smoking. Well, just natural reaction, right? Because it was an unmarked car, so it wasn't like it was a police car. I knew what it was, but I see them hop out, guns, whatever. I got I'm looking like at first because I don't know who's got the guns.
Yeah.
But then you see the vest or whatever. So my reaction just kind of was to want to toss my blunt, right? You know what we do, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you just out partying, the cops show up, you toss your stuff, you run.
Yeah.
My reaction, and it was, don't you, I'll shoot you. I was like, ooh, don't shoot me. So after that, don't shoot me, I'm going down, do not shoot me. I'm good, I'm not running. So they weren't too crazy or nothing, like roughing me up and nothing like that, but so actually, they're really nice. That's what they don't tell you. They're really nice. That's the game plan. They serious and stuff, but once they got you secured, they want to act nice to you. You know how it goes and everything, try to fluff you up. But they were cool. They were respectful and everything. And so we got to the precinct. They told me the charges, and I couldn't believe it. You know what I'm saying? I'm like in disbelief. But a lot of times people watch those TV shows, Law and Orders, and I'm one of those people. And not fully understanding how the process works and stuff, but everybody involved gets charged until they figure it out.
Yeah.
And so,
how did the public react to that? Because you were an athlete. You were, you know what I mean?
It wasn't fun, man. It was a lot of people that I thought knew me, that were way different, and being plastered in newspapers from Martinsburg to Pittsburgh for that.
Yeah.
And anybody that knows, especially now on social media, but on the news article pages and the comment sections and the stuff that people say and stuff like that. I was in there for almost a month before I could make bond or whatever. But when I did get out, I'm looking at that stuff, and it's just like that, like people saying the most vile stuff about you, things of that nature. And so you're seeing all of that, like death threats, the whole 9 yards. You're dealing with a lot of that. And so,
how did that affect your mental health?
Oh man, rock bottom. Up until that point, I was one of those people everybody loved. I never had no beef, no problems with nobody. Like even now, I'm like that. Like even after I don't do drama. I've never been that person. I've always just been like a cool dude.
Yeah.
So everybody
solid.
Like,
real, no fakeness.
Yeah, no fake. Really, like if I'm with you, I
not
care.
even have a temper. Like I don't think I've ever even seen you.
I got
upset.
one.
Do you?
I got one.
Okay.
I got one. After that situation, through that personal journey that I went through, in silence, right? Like home confinement, things of this nature. You know, you got a lot of isolation time. At the time before that, you know, had a little money from, never did any, mess with any hard drugs, but, you know, sold weed, made money and things like that. You know, in college, nothing crazy. But all the friends that I had, people wanted to hang out at the house and stuff like that. And it was very few. It was just like my chosen few of people that I'm still close with to this day. But I'm grateful for it, because like God isolated me in that moment, which is what I needed, because I was never like a bad kid. I just didn't always make the best choices in who I surrounded myself with and where I would allow myself to be, in places I would put myself in position in. And so I learned that the hard way through that situation, and had a lot of time to think about it, a lot of time to think about who I wanted to be, the reputation I wanted to repair, you know what I mean, and get back to being known just for being that good person, that good kid, eventually a good man, you know, growing up. And so it was a journey, man. It was tough.
Yeah.
It was not easy. Being alone, when you're going through your darkest moments, it's like you subconsciously place yourself there, like you isolate yourself, but your conscious mind wants somebody to help.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And it's like a weird thing. It's like, so, you know, at first it was torture. It was like a hell. Like, because it was the realization that at the end of the day, it might just come down to I'm the only person I got, right?
Yeah.
And I'm a people person. I love people. I hate being alone. I'm not a homebody. I love being around people. So going from that to like nobody really around for the most part was rough.
Yeah.
And so.
What about jail? Like, how did jail affect your mentality? Because you're not a criminal. You're not one of those, you said you sold weed. Like, that's a misdemeanor. You know what I mean?
I never had any, like, charges or anything besides that situation. So, like, that's what I mean. Like, I've never been that kid. But seeing it through my brother's experience, you know what I mean? He was in and out of jail, did 10 years in prison. Tried to get him on kingpin charges. They tried to put him away, but did 10 years in prison. So seeing his journey, and I got all older brothers in my family on both sides, my mom and my dad's side, and my generation and older, like brothers, cousins. I'm the baby. I'm like the youngest. So I've always had people like, hey, nah, I wish you would. You better stay in them books. I was a star athlete. You play ball.
Yeah.
That was my brother. You play ball. This is what we do. You play ball. You go to school. You get good grades. You be a good kid. That's what you are. And so it wasn't a thing that like I grew up in the streets, but I'm from that. I just, you know, we grew up fighting, all that stuff. That just comes with it. But never in trouble, never a troublemaker, nothing like that.
So you beat these charges. What was that feeling, knowing that after everyone judged you publicly, after everything you just went through, what was that feeling of like, look at y'all, I beat those charges? I'll be
honest with you, it was nothing like that.
Really?
Shame, like it was nothing I was proud of. To be honest with you, I was grateful that was the outcome, but I was in the shell. Like I was ashamed. Like, regardless of the outcome, the stain was done.
Yeah,
right?
Your name was already in headlines.
Most times when you see these cases and things in the news and people and stuff like that, you see the initial mug shots and stuff of that nature. People go crazy on a rag on them, and then a year or two, whenever the case is done, nobody sees the results. Nobody sees that. That's not plastered in the newspaper. That's not newsworthy. Unless you're a major case. So the only thing they see is the initial. They don't see the outcome. So a lot of those people, really, it wasn't even like a situation where I was vindicated or something, because nobody cared what was the outcome at that point. So
that's crazy, man. That's crazy.
It was a thing for me, though, personally. I grew through that situation, and this is what I always say too. What I thought was a hell that I was going through, being by myself. Like, God in that time isolated me so he could have my attention. Because I'm all over the place, impulsive, just doing this and that, not thinking before I'm moving.
Jesus was falsely accused.
And you got to take it and go with it. You take what come with it, right? And one of the most important things Jesus said, like before he was taking, he said, God, like, if there's any other way, if there's any other way, basically spare me of this.
Yeah.
But let your will be done. If this is what was necessary. For me, I look at that situation, even though it still makes life troublesome now in ways, it was a blessing because where I was headed and the way I was moving, not knowing I was like, I was headed that way, but where I was headed was going to be far worse. Like I got the scar on my head. I got drugged at a bar and got hit by a car, almost died 6-7 months before that happened.
Oh, wow.
So I wasn't listening.
Yeah, you weren't.
I was moving too fast.
Yeah.
And so I had to experience it. He allowed me to go through that, not to ruin me, right? But he knew that I needed to go that so he can get my attention, so he can redirect me to where I need to be going. And so like in my that solitude, that confinement to myself, what I thought was a punishment became my fortress, right?
Yeah.
So now I do that on a regular. I got my studio closet room where I record in my house. It's big old room, it's like a closet but the size of a small room where I record and stuff at. That's where I go to be by myself. Go think about my day, my actions, what I could have done better, reflect, and that's become something that's empowered me now after this, right? But in that moment, it seemed like a punishment. It seemed like hell.
Yeah.
So
how did you rebuild when people only remembered the accusations? Like what did you just decide like I'm gonna move away and start over? Did you?
No. To be honest with you, it wasn't like a conscious thought. It was more so a stacking a day on top of another, stack a good day on top of another. I did end up moving to a new place. I think that helped a lot. I've been around here since 2014, but most people haven't gotten to know me until like the last 3-4 years because when I started with music. But again, I enjoyed being somewhere nobody knew me. I didn't have to feel like that. Like, are they looking at me because they recognize me because of that? And this and that. I could live. And I did enjoy that for a while, but I'm not a shadows person. Like I'm get in the game type of person. So I knew that would only last for so long. And I've been fortunate enough here to meet some people that have put me in some really good positions to just get involved in different ways for what I'm passionate about. And so,
you're a pretty big deal in the music scene, especially here, and we're less than an hour away from the place you were charged. So like, were you ever scared, like with my face being all over social media, one day someone's gonna try to come in my comments and accuse me of something again that I never did? Or
no, at this point, I'm at the place in my life where I don't care what people think about me. And as far as like a fear standpoint of like harm or threat, we could die from a car accident. We could die from anything. So, I don't live like in fear of any of those things. And I think it's just a matter of when, God allows something, he allows you to go through something, and he brings you through it. Trust that he's brought you through it. Yeah. Right? Like, it's done. Like, you got to have that mindset and move forward. And so, like, I'm moving forward in my life. If something from the past pops up and people, want to, oh, you did this or you. Yeah. Because, that's your opinion. You know what I mean? If you think that's the type of person I am because you saw that, I hope that you keep paying attention to my life now because I feel like you'll see different. Yeah. But if you choose not to, hey, peace be on you. Yeah. Best of luck. I'm gonna keep it pushing. And who I'm for, I'm gonna be there for. And who I'm not for, I'm gonna wish the best for.
That's amazing, man. And I know it was 15 plus years ago that all that happened, but the fact that you've overcome it the way you have, and like now you're prominent in the community is like you said, the people who are watching and waiting on your downfall, like they're gonna be waiting for a long time on that, man.
Yeah, that's all right. Your downfalls can be a place of growth, right? And you got to think about when you build muscle. How do you build muscle? You tear it. Yeah. You literally destroy it. You tear it first, and it repairs itself stronger, right? So, people feel like they fear failure, and it's like, nah, that's part of the process. Right. That's sometimes how you learn. You know what I mean? Some of the smartest people in the world that's how they learn.
Yeah.
By failing. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Albert Einstein didn't just get it all the way right with everything.
Yeah.
He failed a lot to get to the knowledge that he had. You know what I mean?
That's so true, man. Everyone I know that has won in life has failed so many more times than they've won. It's true.
That's part of, mental health thing, perspective, right? Like I teach that with kids and stuff like that I mentored and I coached. That if that's one thing that's completely controllable by you yourself, is your perspective, because you can have two people that go through the same thing, right? Abusive parent.
Yeah.
One kid grows up and repeats that parent's actions, because whether they repeat it because you want to become what you're afraid of, so maybe you'll be exempt from that, that what you're dealing with, that trauma, or the kid who hates it so much that wants to be nothing like it.
Yeah.
And goes and intentionally becomes something different. Same parent, same household, different outcomes, because their perspective and how they viewed what was happening made them make different decisions. And so if you can keep your perspective in the right place, like, you can get through anything.
Yeah.
You can get through anything, and so that's like one of the biggest things that, like, men that are dealing with their mental health, if you can work on having a perspective that can find the silver lining, that can find the positive of what you can take from it, learn from it, how you can grow from it, and dispose of the rest.
Yeah.
Without absorbing it, you can process your way through any emotion or situation.
Yeah.
It's when you don't have the right perspective in your approach to it.
Yeah.
Especially if you're feeling like a failure before you even begin.
Yeah.
Then you're gonna fail. So.
So it's clear that you're passionate about helping mental health, especially with men, young men, old men. You're just very clear about it because of the lack of support there is for men's mental health.
Yeah.
What's next for Isaiah Keez? Like, what's next? What do you have in the works? What are you gonna do?
So for me, one of the things, and this was actually an idea, like I'm going to go back to school for counseling. Any people that have known me a lot, like know me personally, they'll tell you I'm one of their regulars that they come to and vent about things. I'm happy to be that person for people, because that gets them talking. And I think that's the first step, right? Like, when you hold stuff in, that's when you really, like, drown in it. So I was looking for, even before I started with music and just in my career, like, what's my, like, purpose? That's been my number one thing with God. Like, what am I here to do? I know I could do all kinds of things. I'm talented, all that, whatever, cool. But what's my purpose here? And so it just clicked. I made a post because I came across some alarming stats. In the U.S., men die from suicide between 39,000 to 40,000 men a year die by suicide on average. Yes.
40K men a year?
39 to 40K men
in the
a
United
year.
States?
In the U.S. Over 100 men a day. Think about that. Over 100 men a day commit suicide in America. Wow. Now, let me throw a couple numbers at you that really put it into perspective, because when I saw these, it put it into perspective, like this is an epidemic, like for real.
Yeah.
So you have in the UK and Canada. Those are the closest, comparable size countries, developed countries, things of that nature to compare the U.S. to. In Canada, on average, around 3,000 men commit suicide. In the UK, around 4,200 men. So we're 10 times the rate of the other comparable countries to us. So this is an American problem. It's not like it's a global man issue. This is like specifically a problem in our country. There's something wrong with our society where this is going left so much when it comes to men.
Yeah.
And men, we die on average 30,000 a year in car accidents. So we're more likely to die by suicide than a car accident.
Wow, man.
So when people actually see the results of this, I think they'll take men's mental health more serious. I don't think people take it serious because of how it's framed in society how men are to carry themselves, especially with this BS podcast. Some of these podcasts and platforms, these dudes that overly macho dudes trying to like overcompensate that man's man and this and that, like just have this weird way of like they have to like degrade women to make themselves feel more like a man. That's total BS.
Yeah.
Like they're like real issue is most men don't feel like that.
Yeah. So do you have plans of doing a podcast that touches on it?
Absolutely, because it's needed. So the podcast name is going to be called the Central Mentelligence Podcast. So it's a play on like Central Intelligence and everything. But
Central Mentelligence.
Central Mentelligence.
Okay.
MEN. Yeah. So what it is it's going to be a platform where I really want to bring on people to talk about different subjects surrounding men's mental health and overall health and well-being. But somebody from a professional or expert standpoint, and then someone from more just an experience standpoint that's like gone through or dealt with this. And so we have these conversations around these topics to draw awareness to it, so where not only do more men feel like confident to like explore, like check, like, you know, doing something about their mental health. Some people are like, again, afraid to ask for help. But if they see a podcast that's like men are having real conversations, men are having real vulnerable moments where they're being brave enough to share their story, so maybe someone else might get some answers they're seeking without having to expose themselves in an uncomfortable way to do it.
Yeah, and that'll be great, because the amount of men that just work out and listen to podcasts and stuff, and to turn something like that in your headphones.
Absolutely.
That's going to be a beautiful thing.
That's the goal, to remember to take care of ourselves, but also to, you know, with women, a lot of their issues have a lot of powerful movements behind them because they're expressive. They get out there, they rally.
They're allowed
right? They rally. You can't be mad at it because we have the same ability, right? But we don't. Right, and they do, and so you see a lot more. You see a lot more attention and resources going to a lot of the issues that affect them because they're making it happen.
Yeah.
And so for me, it's like I might not be able to make it happen from a global standpoint, but I can maybe have develop a platform that has a group of men that follow it, and we go through these conversations, we go through this growth and development together. We build a community where people network with each other and meet each other. Hey, you kind of like gaming. A lot of people have friends through the gaming and stuff from all over the world and country because they've been playing with them for years, never met them in person.
Right.
But like they can call that person up if they're ever in their town. They can call them up and they would meet up, and like it was like they known each other their whole life.
Yeah.
That same aspect, but through a podcast and creating a community that way. You know what I mean?
You have a launch date on that yet?
So not officially. I'm in the process of rounding up the guests. So I'm locking in the guests for the different episodes. It'll be within the next 2 months.
Okay.
And
just in time for summer?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. Where, you know, I know people are gonna have, you know, a little bit more time, you know, the weather and stuff, like we can get on the other side of the seasonal, you know, winter depression.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We're all making it out of this cycle and start to develop these different skills within ourselves, you know, spiritually, emotionally, intellectually, to where now when these moments start to come, you know, next season, or, you know, next year's winter depression comes, we're prepared now.
Yeah.
Remember I told you about preparation.
Yeah.
We're not panicking when those emotions show up now. Now we know how to deal with them. Now we know how to process them.
Yeah.
And
so your focus is to help men prepare for these emotions and not panic when they happen.
Absolutely, because you're gonna deal with it until the day you die. We all are. And so if you give people the tools, right, they'll make it work, right?
Yeah.
And that's what my goal is with the podcast, is to like just put these tools in front of everyone, right? And it's free to grab. Anybody, you know, grab these to whatever you need for your set. You know what I mean? And create a pretty much a free market where guys can come and take tidbits from it for what's good for them in their lives and will help them process and be better men in their lives and for their families. And you know, whatever comes from that, I think, you know, will be a beautiful thing.
Hell yeah, man. I'm excited for that. I think that's going to be really, really, really dope. And I appreciate you coming on here and being vulnerable, honestly.
Listen, I tell you all the time, like a million times before, and I'll tell you after, I appreciate you for having me on here. You know what I mean? Because
I think this will
care
touch a
about
lot
this.
of people. I do think
man.
this episode right here, a lot of men need to hear this.
Absolutely.
And a lot of women, if you watch this, show this to your husbands, man. Like, if you see the signs and maybe they're denying it, like, tune into Mentelligence. That's dropping in the next 2 months.
Which one?
Either one. Yep.
Listen, ladies, this is not a platform where you're not welcome. I get the name sounds like it may be, but this is something for you as well, because a lot of your men probably aren't, they don't know how to express those emotions they might be dealing with. And you might be able to see something from there that might help you to be able to love on and be there for your husbands, your sons, your fathers, things of that nature. So don't forget to stop, check on the men in your life, just ask them how they're doing here and there. And tune into the show, man. I think it's gonna be a real big thing that gets a lot of awesome things going, especially for veterans. I didn't get to talk about the stats behind them, but man, if there's anybody in this group that's dealing with it the hardest, it's veterans, and they lack resources surrounding supporting veterans in this way so much.
That's true. I can't imagine the suicide rates in veterans. I can't imagine.
It's very disheartening.
And that's sad.
It's very disheartening.
Because they fought for this country.
And we all, and that's what, I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna vent a little bit before we leave.
Yeah.
That's what pisses me off with the patriotism in America. Not that it's a bad thing to feel patriotic and proud of where you're from, but if we're gonna talk about being a global military power, if we're gonna brag about it, and we're gonna, be boastful in talking about these things, then we really need to be that. We really need to live that.
Yeah.
Not just on social media posts and talking and having BS talking points, but actually helping those people. We all know veterans. There's no reason why, if we are this proud and we love America this much, and the people who defend the American principles we love so much, that we are not tending to these people.
That's true.
There's a very big whole trauma series section that I'm doing in the first season of my podcast, and it's going to be heavily, in support of veterans. So please, if you don't check out any other episodes, please check that one out, because I'm going to be linking up with some different organizations to get them some exposure, so we can get them some help, and we can reach more of these people, and we can change this epidemic, because it needs to stop.
Yeah. Mentelligence, y'all. Tune into that. It's coming. But yeah, I'm gonna have you come back on Hot Tea No Sugar in a few months after that launches, and like we can touch 100%. Base, do all that. But 100%. I think that's gonna be a good launch, man.
I would love that, and definitely, have you on the platform and things like that too.
Oh, listen, sweet, yeah.
we gonna mix it up. I don't want people to think it's in a box, man. We everybody's welcome.
Yeah.
Everybody has something that they can add to this. You know what I mean? So we gonna get together for sure.
All right. Hey, thank you guys for tuning in to this episode. We got a lot more episodes coming. We're about to start rolling them out a lot deeper than they've been before. Live shows coming up, all kinds of stuff. Make sure you follow Isaiah Keez on all platforms.
Yes, please do. That's where the page will be launched. Everything will be launched from the Isaiah Keez page on Facebook and IG and TikTok. Follow those, Isaiah Keez.
Yeah, check him out, y'all. Thanks for tuning in.
No trouble, ain't looking for a fight. Just a kettle on the burner and a story for the night. Pull up a chair, pour a cup, lean in close and see that we ain't got the sugar, but we got the tea. Hot tea, no sugar, that's how we do. Sipping on the truth, no need to chew. We don't want the beef, just a spilling spree. Hot tea, no sugar, come sit with me. So settle in, y'all, it's time to brew. Hot tea, no sugar, coming right to you.